Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Jay Smack. This is episode 3 or so of Donkey Kong Country. We've been going down memory lane, playing this game from my childhood, a game that I'm sure that virtually nobody out there in internet land is looking at, except for maybe a few speedrunners who are interested in seeing somebody play it well, in which case they are still in the wrong place. You might want to go check out like a good speedrunner. Who can do this rightly. But if you are here, I'm very glad you're here, and I would love to hang out with you and just to have a chill time for a few minutes at least, playing this game and struggling not to die like I just did, and trying to get past World 3 here in one episode, which I'm feeling like is probably pretty unlikely this time. And I'm wondering what you want to talk about today, so what do you want to talk about? I was thinking about how this game, more just how video games have changed over the years, and kind of the extraordinariness of the time that we live in with video games and all this. Because if you look at history and kind of technological progress. You start, oh no, I went into a secret area that's going to take more time, and I didn't want to do that. Technological progress, you know, the beginnings of civilization, and then they had beasts of burden and, you know, wood and boats and things like that. Now I really wanted to hit that checkpoint. There we go. And different inventions like the cotton gin and the printing press that expanded our ability to communicate with each other and to provide each other with better access to things, and steam-powered engines that allowed for trains and significant travel and transportation of goods. And then you go a little bit further and we have electricity. And electricity, I would say, is probably the biggest revolution, I would think, at least potential-wise, for changing everything. And, you know, you hear stories about people who, like, first turned on their light bulbs in their house and they saw the grime and the dirt on their walls and, like, oh no, the world is different now and it's not as attractive as I thought it was going to look in the light. But, you flash forward to around when computers are starting to become a thing. In the 20th century, with, you know, calculators and computers the sizes of rooms and stuff. But then when they start making some rudimentary video games, and you get to, like, maybe the time period around Atari when they're starting to fall into the limelight and people are starting to notice. And then that leaps into the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, where for the first time it's like consumer level, to be bought in your own home, high level tech to entertain you. It's like not just television. Television was its own huge, massive thing, and film and all that. But in the realm of, like, video games, I think, especially for people that grew up in like the time period that I grew up in like the late 80s, 90s and stuff, I think what I'm trying to say is I think we're kind of spoiled in a certain way, because this technology of the computers was, I mean, we knew it had potential, but we knew we hadn't explored it really fully yet, and that it had all this area to grow. And I don't think we really fully realized, like, how much it was going to grow, but we knew we had something new here, and it was like a fawn just finding its legs. But every time they found a little bit more grounding, they would re-release these consoles every 5 years or so with, like, kind of an update that was significant and like a graphical evolution. And marketing-wise and everything, it ended up being about every 5 years they would release this new system. And so, I mean, you get to kids like me who, I mean, it starts where I started. Like, I was very rudimentary and the games were very rudimentary. And then I grew up, and on pace with me growing up, strangely, on pace with me growing up intellectually, the games increased in quality and in competency and in graphical, like, representation and realism, until, like, you know, you get to today and things are almost photorealistic. and it was a strange thing to almost like my own consciousness was like almost willing the evolution of the world around me in a strange way. Like it was growing up with me through the medium of video games, more specifically, because those were the things that I started with, and those were the things that grew with me. But in the same sense, I almost got spoiled because I think our generation, that's a tough little sequence there. Our generation kind of expects like a lot, where it's like every 5 years I expect a complete revolution. I expect everything to be completely new and revitalized. And I don't think that that's a realistic expectation of consoles or of anything. Like, we happen to be at like the emerging point of a new technological boom, and I mean, that may happen continuously in the future for all I know, but I don't think there was any other time period where it was quite like that, where there was something that just kept evolving consistently in such a short period of time. And we saw this whole microcosm in within one lifespan of like this thing grow from beginning to like this very sophisticated final product almost. And some people say they've lost the nostalgia for games, or games aren't as fun as they used to be, or something like that. But I think a large part of it is just that the growing, that massive growing period of the gaming world in that sense has plateaued a bit, because our technology can only go so much farther right now, if ever. And so that experience, I think for my generation anyway, was really wholly unique and shaped mindsets in a lot of ways. And all of that together, oh no, I'm almost to my game over promise. If I die, we'll be flashing forward to the end of this stage. That mindset that, oh, there it is. And we're back. Well, all right, we got past that part. See, I told you. See how easy that was? All you have to do is jump into the future. I was saying that the mentality of wanting to see games like constantly evolve, I think we're a little spoiled now, and we're a little disappointed that stuff can't quite live up to that kind of expectation of whining and dining so fast with a technological advancement. I think there's all sorts of areas where things may grow in the future in different ways, and one of those things that I theorize about, I don't know if this will actually happen, but it was interesting to think about, is AR, the augmented reality. And I think that has a lot of potential for some weird, crazy stuff that could happen to our, society and culture in the future, maybe. So that's a whole different topic of conversation that could be had, of just some crazy ideas that at least I've had about the kind of stuff that could end up being made. And why not? Let's go into it a little bit. That'll be weird. So if you're not familiar with augmented reality, which most people have heard the term by now, but it's basically the ability for a computer system to analyze the... Oh no, this area looks difficult. The ability for something to analyze the environment around you, and then to superimpose images onto that environment. So the means of doing that would be, a lot of people talk about AR goggles. So you'd wear these glasses that basically scan the room, can recognize its geometry, and then it can, through motion tracking and stuff, basically superimpose images so they look like they're stable and actually sitting there in the room with you when you're looking through the goggles. Now, they may look a little bit, they'll look digital, and this exists now. We have lots of stuff that's like this. It's even on, if you buy stuff on Amazon, you can have the item in your room and look at it and see what the item would look like in your room, and it's using AR to do that. And the Pokemon Go game is just AR. Everybody was playing that. Some people probably still are, where you go and find Pokemon that are actually out there in the wild by pointing your phone camera at something, and you can only see the Pokemon through your phone, but you see him sitting there in the actual terrain in your backyard. So that's augmented reality. But if you think of the extents to which we could actually take that technology, if goggles were to exist and become a mainstream, like everybody has a cell phone, what if we replaced our cell phones with these visors that basically do the job, or something similar, where augmented reality is basically where we're dwelling most of the time, and what sort of things would we create with that technology. So some of the theories I have is that if you combine this with the internet, augmented reality would allow you to actually make existing, I guess, bots or digital people or digital animals like Pokemon or something, but they won't just be like a program on your phone, but like they would exist in a GPS location that's just known by the internet as a whole. So the object would actually be on everybody's goggles in the same place at the same time. So like just like I'm in one place in an XYZ location, there would be a GPS location assigned to, say, like a fake person. And since the fake person could have a visual element because they're augmented reality, if I happen to be in that XYZ location, I'd see that augmented reality person through my goggles actually standing someplace. So like if he was at the Statue of Liberty, I could go to the Statue of Liberty and I could meet this bot. And since this bot has artificial intelligence, I could actually talk to him. And since it's through augmented reality, I'd talk to him as I would talk to another person. Like I'd see him in front of me making expressions, etc. But now let's just imagine that that is the case, that there's all these people and animals and talking animals and digital pets and just a whole world and economy of fake augmented reality entities that have been given their own history and story, and you know they only exist in one GPS location at a time, and they have their own lives essentially. So there's just like they're fake people, but they really exist in a strange sort of way. And that's just everywhere and exponentially growing. And so if everybody's wearing these goggles all the time and they're always seeing these fake people and things, and they're walking around with their own Pokemon at their side, and it, you know, you can program it to do things, and you know, society will integrate more and more deeply into things like that, where they'll have their own money, their own pockets, and they can do stuff. And we might replace like clerks at the desk with artificial AR clerks that you can interact with. We might even add like whole wings to buildings that are purely visual, but like when we see the buildings, we can see this intricate architecture and design, like skyscrapers that go on forever, but only in the AR part of it, since it's not something that we would physically be able to touch. But like it may come to the point where we're living in a world that, to be understood properly, is largely a complete digital creation through these goggles. But like everybody is so, just like now with cell phones, everybody is so integrated with it. It's really its own kind of digital continent to be on the internet now. But if you imagine that beginning to bleed into more physical reality with like artificial goggles, which are getting better and better at like just reading terrain and then superimposing stuff on top of it. Basic concept, but when you start linking together everything through the internet, so everybody's sharing the same augmented reality, there's a lot of significant things that could happen there. And then also just like games and entertainment. If everybody's sharing augmented reality, there could be all sorts of games going on where, you know, you recognize a person because of what their augmented reality outfit is that they're wearing, and like they're part of some game. You're playing essentially like a laser tag with random people across the world, and there's all sorts of things. And you can create dragons, and you can go on quests with your friends in real life, physically walking to places and trying to find these monsters. And you know, the possibilities are endless with this kind of a thing. And I'm frightened by this idea. I'm hesitant to share the concept of the idea because it's so like actually plausible to me that this could be the direction that reality could head in the near future if augmented reality were to take off, because it makes sense. Everything that with the internet and the way that it works now and the way that we make stuff, it falls in line with this idea that we would just start making basically these assets that are that have an actual XYZ location in the real world, and from that point there's no limit to like how much we can add and how integrated everybody can be into that one idea. So that's my I don't know if I call it a doomsday augmented reality situation, but like, it's definitely something that would revolutionize the way the world operates in a way that we don't expect right now, maybe entirely, but I'm kind of expecting it. Okay, that's another game over, so I gotta flash forward to the end of this this stage. And I'm gonna go ahead and call this the end of the episode, even though I didn't get all the way as far as I could. So thank you for joining me, and I hope I will see you in the next one.